kids, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, manly kids?
Manly's not a good adjective, but...
No, because you're kind of equating being manly to bullying there, aren't you?
No, but the sort of the lads that are like more sort of into sport, more into rough play, more into competing for girls and fighting, and I'm thinking maybe the rougher lads that you'd have a scrap with. They weren't too nice to the lads that might have been a bit quieter and a bit more reserved. So I can see why certain members of society have gone, yeah, being like manly is a bad thing, but I don't think being naughty means. I don't know. Pick up where I'm going, mate, because I'm going off track here, man.
When I was looking into toxic masculinity a bit, in this video, which I'll put a link to in the description box if you're interested in watching it, this guy was showing clips of James Bond, like the old school James Bond.
Yeah.
And saying what he used to do was toxic masculinity.
Mm.
Now, obviously, James Bond has been a role model. Maybe not so much for this generation, but certainly for me and you, I'd say, growing up. Who would you say like is our masculine role model? Who like maybe? I mean, I didn't really like guns and stuff because I was more into like dinosaurs. But dinosaurs and just thinking about nothing.
Masculine role models.
Football. So I wasn't into the whole like agent spy stuff. But admittedly, yeah, James Bond is a bit of a
soldiers, mate, action man. For me, anything soldier related, military related, I thought, wow, that's well decent. Boxing as well, wrestlers, mate. You look at like The Rock and all these sort of. I think I don't know if they were role models back then, but that's what I saw as maybe kind of masculine. And I did watch James Bond as a kid, but I obviously wouldn't have got all the stuff about him. Seducing women and all this. I just thought, look at him, he's zipping down, or he's parachuting off like a jet ski or whatever. And to me, that was cool. It wasn't the.
You didn't watch James Bond for the bobs.
I didn't. I didn't. I wasn't like that bothered about Money Penny. When I was a kid, it was about he's just shot, he's just killed all those people, and that bloke throws a hat that chops people's heads off.
But but you can't deny that's definitely part of it. You can't have a Bond film without him getting a bird.
Yeah.
And you would have expected that to happen, and you would have.
Yeah.
Your expectations are there. Thinking about James Bond, it's not just about killing people and that.
It is.
The woman's definitely there, yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? That's all right as well, isn't it?
He never had an ugly bird, did he, James Bond?
Never, but he was always good looking. He was always good looking. He was rolling in money. He wouldn't be with an ugly bird, would he? Not even in real life.
No, I'd say it. No, probably not.
No, he wouldn't.
Daniel Craig.
Good looking boys. Pierce Brosnan. Sean Connery back in the day. Tall, dark and handsome. He was good boys. But yeah, James Bond. I mean, I just didn't pick up on that as a kid. Maybe subconsciously. Maybe I thought the ultimate man is this guy who can do all this action stuff, but can also be. But he was never horrible to women. It wasn't like he was like going up to birds and going like, "Oh, come back here." He was always charming. He was polite.
He's like your typical English gentleman, wasn't he?
Yeah. So I don't even think what he displayed was toxic. I don't even know what toxic masculinity is. Maybe like toxic masculinity, hollering out of vans at girls on the street. Is that toxic?
What about that? What about catcalling?
Don't happen anymore.
Doesn't happen anymore.
No, mate.
It's a big shout, mate.
Mate, I've worked on building sites. It does not happen anymore.
Really?
100%. That whole stereotype of the scaffolders making monkey noises and going, oi, oi, get your tits out and all this. You'd be sacked. You'd be sacked for
really?
that. Dude, you'd be thrown straight off site. You would. Especially on the bigger sites. So it doesn't happen anymore to the point where, it's a pandemic. But our grandma's generations, if you speak to them, they'd make jokes like, oh, that will get a few whistles off a building site. And they used to say things like they'd do their hair and they'd walk past the building site, to be sort of hollered at by blokes.
Have a bit of attention.
And it's going back to the banter thing.
Yeah.
It's going back to the we're the blokes and you're the women, and there's this sort of like the Grease musical thing where guys are on one side and women on the other, and there's this tension, this back and forth of tension, this equal reciprocation on both sides in their own different ways. Whereas now, the attention's all gone online, and it's so one-sided towards females that they're really on a pedestal.
Well, they're monetising it now.
Well, yeah, they get paid to be fit.
They like attention anyway. They'd have done it for the likes.
Like we would, mate. If women were all over blokes in the same way, I mean, obviously if you're super hot, do you know what I mean? As a man.
There's a gay market, mate. If you want to make a bit of extra bob.
Yeah, man, I might tap into that.
Yeah, you could do.
But
could do. Hit the weights a bit.
Shut up.
Go on a run. Nah, joking. You'd kill it, mate. You'd make loads. But it's still men. Do you know?
Yeah.
It's still men. Okay, they're gay, but it's men. It's a male thing. Women don't thirst after men so much, and if they do, they don't do it in an obvious way because they know that we don't like that.
The thing is, the stakes are higher for women. So this is coming back to seeing my wife go through pregnancy. Is that the stakes for her now? She was obviously attracted enough to me to kind of marry me and have a baby. She's got a baby now. That's her. So for her to give that up and go like, she's committed her life to something, whereas a bloke could in reality go, you know, whatever, see you in a bit.
True.
And so, you know, they should have the power because it's their lives that are going to be wrecked and changed forever if they, you know, get impregnated by an absolute arsehole. So it's a good thing they have the power.
Yeah.
But they've always had the power to choose, and that sort of, it's always, the ball's been in their court historically, but it's sort of shifted so far over now where men absolutely feel impotent, like to I'm not saying all men, you know, we've both got, you know, nice you know, partners, don't we? But I think a lot of men are thinking everyone's so out of touch. Like, after you leave school, where do you really socialise with women now? You can't go up to them in bars because it's almost seen as like, that's a bit too forward, mate. It's a little bit too aggressive, and you know, we're worried about flirting at work because is this flirting or is this harassment?
Yeah.
And it's like some men just aren't socialised enough to be able to draw the line. And I don't think it's because they're horrible people. It's because they don't know that by going, oh, your dress is quite tight. They don't know by saying that the woman might feel, oh God, like he's objectified me there. But
you got to be clever about it.
You got to be clever.
You've got to kind of wrap it in jokes.
You do. You've got to make them laugh.
And you've got to build up. You've got to warm them up.
They've got to be into you.
I mean, you can't go up to a girl anyway and say your dress is a bit tight.
But say you work with them and they came in today and were like, ooh, who are you trying to impress? If you said something like that, depending on the bloke and depending on the relationship you had.
Depending on if she was interested in you.
Yeah.
If she was interested in you, it would be seen as like you being really flirty, she'd be interested, she'd be happy. Yeah. Might make her day.
It probably would.
Probably would make her day.
Yeah. But if she didn't like you or didn't really know you,
you lose your
job. And it's so the line we tread
it's
now,
a risk.
Oh, it's a heavy risk.
Yeah.
But you know, the Me Too movement that started,
and
it started well because it started on the case of women that were abused by men, but then it sort of descended into this man 10 years ago made a comment towards me, and now we're like, oh, come on, there's got to be like, where's the line? Because some crimes are worse than others. Raping someone in a bush is obviously worse than going for who you trying to impress. It is worse. But the Me Too movement kind of blurred the line to like every single one of those blokes were nearly as bad as each other.
Yeah.
The Harvey Weinsteins were nearly as bad as like Aziz Ansari that said something towards a bird, like said something, and they all got thrown in the cancelled bin, you know.
Yeah.
And I was like,
it doesn't do women any favours.
There's no nuance, mate.
It doesn't do women any favours at all once you blur the lines like that. It makes it a lot more dangerous.
Yeah.
Society, if you're like, I was about to say breeding men, that doesn't sound right. Like, if there are a generation of men that are growing up and they are simps, basically, you know?
Yeah.
If they're like, There's another term, beta male. You know that beta male,
Beta males.
beta male, and alpha male.
Yeah, there's a market there now, isn't there, for alpha males? Because people are sort of selling courses on how to be alpha male now.
Oh, it's mad.
And it's like,
especially on Twitter, mate. They've got like tens of thousands of followers.
you can't teach that.
Well, how to be a man.
Not how to be an alpha male.
But there's a market for it, mate. Because some of these boys are growing up and they don't have a strong male, masculine role model in their life. Do you know?
Yeah.
That happens because of, whatever. Shit happens. I'm not saying a single mum can't be, a wonderful mother and the boy can't grow up to be a good man or whatever like that. But these are the questions you've got to be asking about society. Like, what role models have you grown up with?
I think a lot of people lack the role models, for sure. Single parenthood can't be good for boys. It can't be, because we're always going to be raised by our mums. If our parents split up, we'll be raised by our mums. And if you're not given... like, for instance, I'm just thinking about myself. I've got a daughter, right? And if I had to bring up a daughter of my own, and that's, I'm sure by the time she gets to being a little young lady, she'll be asking me things. I'll be like, honestly, I ain't got a clue.
Don't know how it works.
I ain't got a clue. I'll probably project my own bullshit onto her.
Yeah.
If I think all women are scum and all this and being...
Yeah, exactly. If you're bitter
and you think all men are fucking dicks, you're going to say to your son, oh, don't play with those boys. Don't be like that. Your dad's an arsehole.
Yeah.
And you're going to grow up with a sort of an insecurity and like trying to find your place in the world without really knowing a man to sort of aspire to be must be well hard. I'm lucky I had that in my life.
Yeah, likewise. It's a blessing. We'll probably do a further podcast about like privilege and how they talk about white privilege and privilege because of your race and whatever.
Yeah.
The only privilege I think I've really got, like, that I didn't work for myself, and I call it parent privilege.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Agreed,
In
man.
fact, both my parents, just amazing people, really, really good people, and they stayed together. They're still together, but they stayed together throughout my childhood, and they support me.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's the only lottery really. Nowadays, skin colour and stuff like that. I mean,
we'll go into that. We'll go into
different countries. I mean,
yeah.
But talking about being in the UK, I mean, being a man, a woman, black, white,
definitely
same difference. The only privilege I think I've got is parent privilege.
Definitely.
Absolutely blessed. Absolutely blessed.
#blessed. Shout out mums and dads.
Yes. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Shout out for all the views.
Yeah. Keep refreshing that page.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, definitely parent privilege. That's the thing. I think it's. I think our view though of masculinity and manhood, we got to accept it's not coming from an objective point of view. Like, so, thinking of my upbringing, mum and dad stayed together.
Yeah.
But all my dad's stories when we was kids, and my mum's stories about her dad, right, were about either being tough, or boxers, or footballers, or like how hard my nono worked, and the time my dad got a knife thrown in his face. All these things of like overcoming sort of physical violence and overcoming sort of manly burden, where I kind of grew up with a view of what a man should be. So I got to admit, my perspective on manhood is completely loaded with my own upbringing of this is what a man should do, this is how a man should be. And I think we've got to accept that from growing up with a dad in the house. But I think that's a good thing because obviously I'm going to think it's a good thing though.
Well, obviously we're biased.
Yeah.
From our own experiences, yeah. It's not objective at all. It's completely subjective.
But we can see society's moved away from traditional manhood. Like, if you look at the Gillette advert we kind of talked about the other day.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Have you watched it again recently?
Yeah.
I watched it once when it kind of came out and it was blowing up on Twitter and stuff like that, and everyone was saying, well, you kind of had two camps. There was nothing in the middle. This is disgraceful, They're kind of trying to change what being a man is and they're trying to make men into women. That's what one side was saying, and the other side was saying this is great. This is really progressive and forward thinking.
I don't think it's progressive at all. I think it's regressive. I think it's I think if you're going to make a man the best a man can be, which was their little hashtag on that, the best a man can be would be harnessing something that comes natural to the male. So I think things that come natural to males, and I'll say it becomes natural because it's apparent in basically most mammals, is aggression, it's competitiveness, it's assertiveness, right? Yeah. That comes natural to males, and if you harness that, you can create really strong men, really good quality, well ethical leaders, right? That can steer manhood in a direction, right? But if all you're doing in that is kind of slagging off lads who fight, and one guy sees a couple of attractive women go by, and he starts walking over to the women, and this other guy goes, "Whoa, bro, don't go to him." And you're thinking,
it's so drastic, isn't it?
What are you saying to these men? We say you can't go talk to women now. You're gonna have to just, you're just gonna be partnerless, and you're not gonna shoot your shot. Fucking take a chance in life. What are you saying? Oh, there's a video of two lads rolling around on the floor scrapping, and all these fathers there, and they put these fathers in like these monotonous voices, and they're going, "Boys will be boys, will be boys," and all this, and as if they've been brainwashed into thinking boys will be boys. Well, boys are boys. So how can you brainwash someone into thinking boys will be boys? Boys are boys, unless you make them something they're not. So,
which they are.
Exactly. That's exactly what they're doing. By turning a phrase like "boys will be boys" into a bad thing to say, that's sinister.
Could you ever get away with saying, "God, girls will be girls"? Do you know? Do you imagine? She girls getting a bit upset while she's on her period.
Yeah.
Oh, girls will be girls, you know.
Yeah, but it's not a wrong.
Wouldn't put that on an advert, would they?
No, but it's slagging off the concept that boys are being like little boys. This is why we've got a generation of medicated kids, man. You've got ADHD. Why? Because you like playing football, and you like climbing trees, and you can't be bothered to sit in a lesson for 8 hours a day in fucking air conditioned rooms with unnatural light, and you don't want to sit there. You want to go play with your mates and talk to your friends. Yeah. Oh, you've got a mental health problem. Here's some drugs.
We'll have to do another podcast on that. Mental health. The mental health labels that people have nowadays. Because it's so true. But certainly with,
boys are bad for it because...
ADHD, I mean, Jesus. Of course the kid's not gonna not many young girls want to go and play as well. But certainly boys. We don't learn sat down.
Being fed information.
No, of course not.
Especially when they feed us fucking Cocoa Pops in the morning. Here's a bowl of Frosties, and go sit down on your arse for fucking. Yeah. What are we doing?
Perfect storm, innit?
What are we doing to these lads, man? My mum, God bless her, she's Italian, she's sort of old school, right? And I'm so grateful because the amount of times that we got told off by teachers and I got booted up nurseries, me lad. I was a naughty boy. But, they were like, this kid's got ADHD, this kid's, needs help, he needs medication and all this. And she's just stuck to her guns. No, he's a naughty boy. And I'm so glad she did because I haven't had to rely on medication my whole life, and I haven't had to live with a label.
Apart from being naughty, but that's something that's easy to shake off the medication.
Yeah, I mean,
being medicated for years.
Yeah.
I don't even know how long these kids get medicated for.
Well,
you've got ADHD for the rest of your life then.
Yeah.
What?
Mental.
It's mad.
And we wonder why blokes are, I think, 4 times more likely to kill themselves.
Yeah. I don't know the stats on that, but it's probably around that, yeah.
I think it's 4 times more likely than women.
There'll be different reasons for that as well, mate. Okay, medication is one thing, but I reckon, a lot of women are, drugged up as well now.
Yeah.
I think with men, my theory on it is that just men are a bit more... Oh no, this is super dark, mate. We can't get into this.
Yeah.
No, that's too dark.
Okay, fuck that.
No, can't start going to suicides. No.
Yeah.
But, there'll be different factors. Yeah, there'll be different
factors. I mean, lowering of testosterone, Pat.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
So, I've been looking into it, man.
Yeah.
And we could talk about the reasons why or the theories why, but the major study that people always point towards, and I think it's because it's the most sort of empirical study, but there's been studies since which show the similar trend. But between 1984 and 2002, male testosterone in males dropped by 17%, and they took into account like lifestyle factors. So they went for like they compared it across age groups, weights, lifestyles, jobs, and it was across the board. It's plummeted.
What's that? 17%.
17%,
and that's just until 2002.
Yeah, dude. So the trend has continued now. So
maybe not. Maybe we've taken it back.
Maybe all them alpha male courses have started.
Looking at the average bloke.
Yeah.
With skinny jeans. What does that do to your testicles anyway? Skinny jeans.
Well, it lowers your sperm count.
Does it?
Yeah.
Because it makes them hot.
Having mobile phones right next to your cock and balls all day can't help. Pinging off little radio signals. And,
I bet there's something to that.
That can't help, mate. My granddad, my nonna, they had 12 kids. 12, just fired them out.
Wow.
Just didn't miss a beat, mate. Do you know what I mean? And he's...
A couple of bowling balls he had swinging around.
And now, mate, people... Yeah, he had a big cock. He did. Mate,
no, don't talk about your nonna's cock.
Oh, dude, I remember I must have been about 13, right? So just getting into the point where you think, like, yeah, big cocks are good. I was walking past it. So he was getting to this stage now. This geezer, he's massive. He's big, dark, tanned geezer. Been a farmer his whole life. Working in Italy, he had his own vineyards, all this. Hands like shovels and that. Anyways, he was getting all sort of... demented by the end of his sort of time on Earth, and he was getting up off the bog, right, and the door was wide open, bro, so I don't know, because he knew we were in the house. No, I don't think he knew anything by this point. He was just sort of in his own world of being old and demented. He got up off the toilet, mate, and his willy was like this microphone. It was massive, mate, and I was looking at it thinking, this is not human. This is not human. But well, what am I going with this?
I don't know. I'll just let you continue.
Shout out, Nono. R.I.P. Big man. But
Very big.
But
man.
yeah, he had 12 kids. Man.
So your point was, back in the day, they had high levels of testosterone.
I think
and
so.
it seems to be dropping. And if you were to look at the modern male now, just pictures of what men used to dress like. Do you know?
Just sharp
suits. Hats.
Sharp dudes.
Yeah. And now? We run around in fucking leotards, aren't we? What are we doing?
Definitely, man.
Skinny jeans. Well, skinny jeans is when we were kids. I don't know what the kids are going to grow up wearing now.
It will swing back probably. Flares next. Some flat. The fashion's one thing, and that's going to be, cyclical. But if you look at like 1950s America, where they're like, this is a PE lesson from a 50s American high school.
Yeah.
Every single lad had a fucking six pack. He was ripped to bits. The women were fit, mate. The girls were just good looking girls, and you're thinking, why? Like, is it their diet, their lifestyle? Is it radio waves, mobile phones? What is it?
What's changed?
Everything's changed. Isn't it?
Or is it just because you're looking at one picture, which has been picked, and they're just a good-looking bunch of people?
Yeah, but you could go through archive footage for days, mate, and you
will.
Yeah, especially with the women. 1950s women archive.
No, I have seen a picture of I think it's the same beach. I think it's in America again. Do you know?
Yeah.
It's a picture of in the 1950s, some point, and then 2014 or something like that. And just the people, 1950s, they're all like, not all like huge like bodybuilders or whatever, but they're all in shape.
Yeah.
They're in good shape.
Yeah.
Then you look at the picture from like our era now, just whales walking around, mate.
Just so chubby.
Waddling.
It's food. Food is massive. I think food is too nice now. I really think they've scientifically worked out how to appeal to our like cravings, man. So if you think like fruit, right, if you really peel it back to kind of pre-industrial times, fruit was a seasonal thing, and you'd have to make jam out of that fruit to have a sweet treat all year round.
Yeah.
Or you'd have to go and keep bees and have honey, But you know, you'd have a bit of sugar back, that was quite expensive.
Yeah.
And if you go back even further, sugar wasn't even a thing. Like when the Tudors first got sugar, they went mental.
Of course
They went mental. Their teeth were falling out. The rich people were like, oh my god, this thing that we've just found in America, in the Americas or whatever, they've brought over here. This is like cocaine.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
were smashing sugar.
Oh, mate, sugar is it's a drug.
It is
It's
a drug.
We'll have to do a whole episode on sugar and food.
Diet and
And
sugar.
nutrition and
But,
diet.
But they've worked out now, you know, to give us the perfect combination of salts and sugars and MSGs and all this stuff, colourings, E numbers, all this gear.